I want to start by telling you something that is extremely important, something that I need you to pay very close attention to. I've created this lesson because I care about you. I care about your well-being. I care about your loved ones. I care about your future, and I want you to be happy. I'm telling you this because you are about to watch what will likely be the most challenging video of this entire program. In this lesson, I'm going to poke at you. I'm likely going to touch open emotional wounds. At times, it may feel like I'm speaking directly to you, even though you know that many people are going to watch this same lesson. Forgive my language here, but I'm going to call bullshit on your false beliefs. I'm going to expose the tricks you play on yourself. I'm going to tear apart the language you use with yourself to justify your patterns of self-sabotage. And I will tell you right here and now, the part of this video that's going to hurt the most is the part where you realize that your current state of health has been chosen for you by you. Emotions are going to bubble up inside you when I reveal the truth that every single person is living their life right now exactly as they want to. They are choosing their current reality in every moment. If you are unhealthy, you are choosing it. If you are eating unhealthy foods, you are choosing to. If you are participating in self-destructive behavioral patterns, you are choosing to. If you are in an unhealthy relationship, you are choosing it. If you are working at a job you hate, you are coming up with a million reasons why you can't leave and are choosing to spend dozens of hours each week feeling miserable. Everyone is doing exactly what they want to be doing at every moment. And the more resistance you feel to the words I've just spoken, the more you need this lesson. The more you want to scream back at your screen right now that I'm full of shit, that the aspects of your life that you don't like are someone else's fault, or that you are simply a victim of external circumstances, the more anger you feel toward me in this very moment, the more critical it is for you to listen to this lesson on repeat until the information contained within it actually sticks. I went out and asked my audience before I even created this program if they wanted to go deep and truly understand why they can't seem to do the things they know they need to do to get healthy. Why they can listen to hundreds of hours of my podcast, understand all of the information I've given them, and still can't seem to make the right choices consistently. Always asking me why they just can't help but make poor decisions. This lesson is going to dig into why. Let's start by detailing the most common types of self-sabotage I see. Number one is the perfectionist. This is the person that believes everything is black or white, and if they can't do it perfectly, they're not going to do anything at all. This usually stems from a childhood where their value as a person and the amount of love they received was directly tied to their achievements and whether or not they behaved as they should or as they were expected to, as defined by their parents or caretakers. Number two, the obsessor. This is the person who obsesses over what they should be doing every second of every day, convinced that if everything isn't done just right, they won't get any results at all. But thinking is not doing. And this is how the obsessor fools his or herself. Just because they're spending a ton of time obsessing over something, that doesn't mean they're actually doing it. And in fact, the more energy they put into obsessing over the things they should be doing, the less energy they have to actually do those things. The obsessor is the type who will consume 400 plus hours of my free content and convince themselves they need to listen to yet another podcast or read yet another book or find the right grocery store that has the exact foods they need. On and on it goes. They will convince themselves they need more information or they just need something more before they can actually take action and get started. This usually stems from a childhood full of anxiety. Maybe one or more parents were emotionally unavailable or chaotic or both. This means there was always a looming feeling of the potential for things to go wrong at any moment, which leads to a feeling of paralysis, an inability to truly change their day-to-day behavior due to the fear of disrupting the norm, or a massive fear of the unknown. Number three is the victim. This is the person who believes they are so uniquely broken that nothing will ever work for them. They also believe all of the ways in which they are broken are completely beyond their control. They are simply victims of life happening to them. And now life has broken them beyond repair, so they live in victimhood. This usually stems from a childhood where there was a parent or caretaker who lived in victimhood themselves and expressed it openly around their children, leading the child to believe that external forces control the outcome of one's life. All of these most common patterns of self-sabotage are formed in childhood by observing the behavior patterns of your parents or caretakers. Children are experts at discovering exactly how to behave to receive the most love possible, because it's truly a game of life or death for them. If they don't get love, they might literally die, since they are dependent on caretakers for their very survival. For instance, the perfectionist was usually an expert manipulator as a child, learning how to show up exactly as their parents or caretakers wanted them to in order to receive the most love. Learning what acceptable behavior was that made the grown-ups happy, and learning to show up in that way at all times, to be a good little boy or good little girl, to be the golden child. The problem is, in adulthood, this leads to an inability to behave outside of what is deemed acceptable by society, their loved ones, or more importantly, their internal self. They live a life constantly dictated by a series of shoulds, the things that they should do or the way they should behave as defined by societal norms. Let's pick this apart a bit more. To be blunt, perfectionism is bullshit. If you are watching this video right now and you believe you are a perfectionist, you've been lying to yourself for a very long time. People come to me because they need help. They cannot seem to get a grasp on their health and wellness on their own. Oftentimes, their health is in serious trouble. They might have 100+ pounds to lose. They may be dealing with chronic health issues, or other aspects of their lives may be suffering tremendously. Finances, romantic relationships, familial relationships, etc., etc. Seems like an odd way for a perfectionist to be living life. This is the type of person who starts Clovis and fills their house with approved foods and starts tracking their food on the app right away. And then emails me saying, I don't know what's going on. I've been following this plan for 10 days and I haven't lost a single pound. I'm doing everything perfectly. Then I start to probe and ask very specific questions. And 5 emails later, after they keep insisting they're doing everything right, I find out they have a daily drinking habit that they conveniently forgot to tell me about because they didn't think it was relevant. Or I ask them to go through their entire house and read every single ingredient label, and they assuredly find seed oils and other toxic ingredients in their products, and they say, I don't know how that got there. I swear, I check every single label. This is so weird. Or another type of perfectionism behavior that comes up, what I call the fuck it mentality. This is where someone will follow their Clovis plan perfectly for 5 days, then some sort of social event comes up, like a dinner with friends, or a birthday party, or whatever. A place where they are expected to participate. Maybe their friends want them to have a few drinks, or their friend says it's rude to not eat a slice of the birthday cake, whatever it may be. The perfectionist bends to societal pressure and exhibits some sort of behavior that they later try to tell me is very rare, or only happens on occasion, or is just so unlike them. This occasional behavior really upsets the so-called perfectionist within them, because now they've behaved in a way that is unacceptable according to their new Clovis plan. So they say, fuck it, and just decide they'll go off the rails and eat whatever they want for the entire weekend because they've already messed up the plan anyway. And they swear to themselves that they'll get back to being perfect on Monday and they'll start over when they can follow the plan perfectly. Yet, somehow, their imaginary perfectionism gets interrupted over and over week after week because they continue allowing it to be interrupted. There is always some magical external force beyond their control that gets in their way, or some reason why they just couldn't say no to doing what was expected of them by others. Now, let's get to the really painful part of this myth about perfection. Clients tell me all the time, I have to do everything perfectly. It's just my perfectionism. And I simply tell them, I call bullshit. Because the people who come to me with the strongest belief that they are perfectionists are usually dealing with problems that they just can't seem to solve on their own. They aren't where they want to be physically, mentally, emotionally. They don't make as much money as they want to, or maybe they hate their career, or have terrible body image issues, or they're in a toxic relationship. They have constant people pleaser tendencies and they always put themselves last. They have specific habits like drinking alcohol. They claim perfectionism while also somehow finding nearly every aspect of their current life less than ideal. Let me ask you, how could being a perfectionist possibly lead to a life that they're almost completely unhappy with? This hardly seems possible to me. How is life not just blissful all the time if they're doing everything so perfectly? So what is all this perfectionism talk? It doesn't sound like anything is perfect. And yet, they may still carry the belief that they are perfectionists. Do you see how twisted this is? Do you see how confused people really are? Perfectionism, as people most commonly use the word, is not perfectionism. It is fear. Fear of failure and fear of being judged by others or yourself for failing. Fear of not being good enough. It is a lack of self-worth, self-confidence, and self-love. It is a self-sabotaging pattern. What these people are truly saying to themselves internally is, If I can't do it just right, then I won't do it at all, because then I'm giving up on my terms rather than giving my genuine best effort and potentially failing, which is something that I simply cannot face because my self-worth and value as a human is directly tied to me behaving just so. It is a fear of failure, not perfectionism. The belief is that their pattern is perfectionism, but their true pattern is fear of failure, which is an incredibly powerful form of self-sabotage. If you believe that your pattern is perfectionism, yet you don't have the results you want in your life, it's far more likely that your pattern is actually fear of failure. But I promised you that we would go deep. So let's dig into an even deeper layer. The pattern within the pattern. The pattern within the pattern in this case is dishonesty. You are an expert at lying to yourself. Your current state of health is not the problem. The things you say you want for your health are not the problem. It's the gap between those two things that is the problem. It's the fact that you are constantly claiming that you are going to achieve XYZ health goal and you never do. Some clients come to me saying, Justin, I've been telling myself for 30 years that I'm going to get incredibly healthy. And that goal is not a problem. And the fact that they haven't achieved that goal yet isn't even a problem. The problem is that they continue to tell themselves that they will achieve the goal and they never do. That is the problem. It is the lie they tell themselves over and over and over again that is the problem. Imagine you are a parent and you have young children. Every single year, you promise your children that you will go to Disney World. 6 years pass and you've never gone to Disney World. And yet, every year, you continue to tell them that you will go that year. Do you see how harmful this is for the children? Do you think the children should trust you? Would you blame them for not trusting you? Would you tell them, sorry, it's just the perfectionist in me? You would actually be a better parent if you walked into your children's room and said, hey kids, I just want to let you know we're never going to Disney World. And sure, the kids would be upset, but they would get over it quickly. And it would be much less painful for them than being continually let down. Your kids aren't going to stop loving you because you can't go to Disney World. In fact, it will be much easier for them to love you if you stop constantly letting them down. So let me ask you, if you've been telling yourself for years that you're going to finally adopt a healthy lifestyle and truly stick to it, do you have any evidence at all to believe that you will actually do that? To believe that you will do it perfectly? Now, if you tell the kids you're never going to Disney World and then spend the next year working hard to make sure it happens, you get to surprise the children and everyone has an amazing experience. But first, you need to let the kids love you exactly as you are. And you need to love them exactly as they are. No trip to Disney World is required for the love between you. And when the Disney trip actually does happen, you just get to share a beautiful experience together. The same goes for your health and wellness. The way to guarantee you get healthy with your Clovis program is to learn to love yourself exactly where you are right now. To not require perfection before you can love yourself. To learn to love and appreciate your body exactly as it is. To accept and admit to your self-sabotaging patterns. To dismantle your false belief of perfectionism and call bullshit on yourself. To stop asking me crazy questions like if it's a problem that you missed your macros by 5 grams of carbs when you've been drinking 3 glasses of wine every night the entire time you've been following the program. Admit your shortcomings and love the hell out of yourself anyway. And then from that place of self-love and acceptance, commit to yourself that you will start making healthier choices because you love yourself and you deserve to live your best life. I know this video was likely very challenging for you, and that's okay. That's what we're here for, to work through patterns of self-sabotage to help you succeed once and for all.